Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio. Today I'm sharing with you a sped up version from last Thursday's live stream on Art Joy of Sharing live stream channel, where we were doing everything old is new again, and we were making zines. The first thing that I showed on the live stream was how to fold a zine. This is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and you fold it hamburger style, and then you fold in each end to make a 4-panel piece folded, and then you fold it hot dog style, and make sure you get good creases, make everything even. And then the last step is just to cut a slit through the two middle panels and then kind of fold it out like a star, and it makes a little booklet. And that's what a zine is. They've apparently been around for a really long time. I remember when my mom made these in her classroom and gave one to each child so that they would have a little booklet to work on their vocabulary words. And that was a long time ago. Apparently, also, they were done and mailed out as a type of sometimes a newsletter or an advertisement from photography groups and different art groups. But of course, the ones that we are working on are mixed media zines, so it ends up being like a little art journal, basically. So the piece that I am working on, I folded from a piece of mixed media paper that was 11 by 14. So it's slightly larger than the ones that come from the 8.5 by 11 regular paper. But I wanted to have some thicker, heavier paper so that I could do a lot of mixed media techniques. So that's a Canson paper from one of those big pads that you can, buy at Walmart and Michael's. And I fold it all up, I cut the middle, and then I'm decorating it as a whole piece first. But as I get to the stenciling part, first I did some brayering, and then as I get to the stenciling part, I have to think about the fact that my stencils are one direction stencils. Like these are some handmade ones that I made a long time ago. And I need to remember that one side goes one direction and the other side goes the other direction. So I'm thinking about that as I'm stenciling. And I'm using some bright colors. I decided that the theme for my zine was going to be flowers because, as you guys know, and as I've told you, tired of being cold. I want the spring to come. I'm thinking about springy flowers and bright colors and sunshine. And so that's what I was working on with mine. I didn't like how some of the edges, as you fold paper, the paper at the folded area pushes out the paper in front of it and it gets uneven. I don't like that. So I trimmed mine, and then I used a tape runner to stick the pages together so that it would stay together as a little booklet. I'm just fussy like that. You don't have to do that. There's absolutely no reason why you have to do that. That's just how I am. And then I also created a cover for mine that's 1/4 inch around, bigger than the pages, because I wanted a cover. You don't have to do that either. You could make the first page the cover, and that would be perfectly fine. And I think that's what most people do. But I cut a separate piece as a cover, and then I plan to tie my zine into it. So then on the first page, I decided to attach some of these felt flowers that I received recently from Dana in Happy Mail. They were the right colors. They were the colors that I used from the paints that I used. And of course, I will try to remember everything that I used on this and put it in the description box below with links to where you can purchase it from Amazon. I might miss a few things, and if I do, I'm sorry, but I didn't keep everything out in a big pile so that I could remember for the list because I had to move on to other things. A lot of jelly printing going on this month with the jelly printing each day challenge that I'm doing on Instagram. So I did have a box of different floral type things cut out from magazines. That's a good way to use up those magazines that you've already read. And in this case, they're my mom's magazines because I don't even order magazines. But I thought it would be cool to use some magazine collage images since it's a zine, which seems to me to be short for magazine. So for these ones on the front, I had a larger piece of a floral that looked kind of like some pink lilacs, and I used an open stamp, stamped it on there, and then cut around so that I would have flowers made out of flowers, which you probably can't see from this distance, but up close you can see it. So I glued those down with Liquitex matte medium, and yeah, I remembered towards the end of the video that what I really want to stick magazine pages down with is a glue stick, not anything wet, because they buckle. And I knew that. I knew that, but I forgot. So I added some of these with matte medium, which ended up annoying me because they crinkled and buckled because magazine paper is just too thin and finicky. That's probably why I don't use it very often, which is why I didn't remember. So then for my detailing on my different pages, I'm using Posca pens, and I'm also using my Neocolor 2 water-soluble crayons. Probably my favorite art supply ball. So sometimes I'm coloring around the edges to bring to push the background back and bring the other images forward. Sometimes I'm coloring the images. Like in this case, I decided to stamp some of these leaves, and then I ended up coloring them in with the crayons and blending with the water brush. Other times I colored on the outside of the collaged images to make them stand out from the background more. Also, when I did my finishing, I went and printed out a sheet of different quotes about flowers on my inkjet printer, and I'm using those as words in my zine. Um, I should have done that. Had I been prepared, I would have done that. Before the live stream. That would have been really great because then I got to the point where like I don't have any words to put in here, and I didn't really want to write, in my handwriting because I hate my handwriting. So that's where I remembered about the glue stick. And I use the Elmer's Extreme glue stick, which sticks down really well. And I use a old gift card to smooth out and stick down and burnish, which really helps. And these stuck down beautifully. But then, still being stupid, I put a coat of matte medium, liquid matte medium over the top of them, thinking I would seal them in. And the top of the sunflower one buckled again. So just keep wet things away, any wet media away from magazine papers and you'll be fine. I I think that if I had used the gel matte medium over the top, it would have been fine. It's just anything that has enough water content makes this thin magazine paper buckle when you're trying to collage with it. So yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So these little phrases that I printed out from the printer, which all I did was just search on Google short quotes about flowers. That's all I did. And then I came up with some quotes, typed them into a word processing program, and printed them out in different fonts. And, we should all do that more often instead of relying on somebody else to give us little stickers and things. Um, we don't need to buy that stuff. It's easy to print it. Very easy if you have a printer, of course. I mean, if you don't have a computer and printer, you're probably going to have a problem. But anyway, I'm using my black fine tip Posca pen a lot to do detailing work like these little lines and things, and to draw around the quote blocks because I just think that looks good. And I'm not really working page to page to page so much as jumping around, as you can see. Um, I think of something and then I go back and work on it. I'm using a few other colors of Posca pens on this page, but I mostly just use the black and the white throughout most of the process, which isn't unusual. I use them all the time. And I was just reading my comments on a different video, and somebody gave me a link to Posca tip replacements. Isn't that brilliant? Because you know what? I am an impatient person and I don't always wait for the paint to dry enough, and I sometimes get gunk in my tips and ruin my pins. So I haven't done it so much recently, but I used to do it all the time. I've gotten smarter about it, but yeah, apparently you can get nib replacements and then just pop a new one in there if you ruin it. So good to know. Thank you, that person. I can't even remember the name now, but thank you for telling me that because I'm going to order some. That's just brilliant. So I'm also using washi tape. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but washi tape is really fun in these little zines because it gives you just a little bit of pattern and color really easily and simply. Just tape it down and that's it. So I liked that. And then of course I always use this white Posca pen for uh, little scribbly highlights and also splattering. I like to use it for splattering because it's real simple to just flick it. You don't have to get out the paint and get out the fan brush and the whole thing. Also, I'm using some black archival ink to sponge the edges. You know how I like borders around things? I like to close in things, make them into little boxes. I don't know why that is. It's a personality thing. It's just my personality. I want to put things in boxes. I don't know why. But anyway, I used a artist sponge and black archival ink to go around the edges of each page and the cover, which really made me happy. I also used on the cover some of the green washi tape to make a ground. You know how I don't like things to float in the air. I want them to be in the ground. Um, I just tore it in half and then just like applied it and made an interesting little bumpy ground torn area, which I liked. Still using my old Amazon gift card to smooth and burnish things. And even on these cutout magazine images, I'm still using a black line around them and then white highlights like you do. I mean, I didn't draw these, but I still like that look of an illustration, even if it's a photo. I just do. I think it must be part of my style. That's all I can imagine. It just, everyone supposedly has a style, and apparently that's part of mine right there is making lines around things, making things into boxes and things with lines around them. Yeah, that's me. So there's a whole page that's not even finished, and you know what? It's pretty just the way it is. I liked it. But I decided to use this stamped tissue paper. Sometimes it's nice to use stamped tissue paper. You can position it the way you want, and once you collage it on there, the tissue paper part of the thing just disappears. So you can just cut these out. I say cut, but really what you're doing is using a water brush or a wet paintbrush to go around them, and they just tear right out. So um, taking some of these, we did a stamped tissue swap, and then we did a live stream that had to do with stamped tissue paper um, at some point. And I stamped these so that I could use them in the live stream and didn't, of course, use them all up. I mean, you always make way more than you ever think you're going to possibly use in your lifetime. It's just kind of how it is. So those, of course, are just stamped on plain, cheap white tissue paper with archival inks so that, it doesn't run or smear when you put wet media over it. So I'm collaging all these on using Liquitex matte medium in the liquid format. Of course, I got to dry it. And then I'm coloring them using some of my Neocolor 2s and blending that with a water brush. A water brush, for those of you who don't know, is a synthetic bristle paintbrush that has water. You put the water in the handle so you don't have to keep dipping it into water. Handy little things. I like them. I like them a lot. I use them a lot. They come in different nibs and tips. You can get flat ones and pointed ones and smaller and bigger. And you can even get like a whole set of them at once with different sizes. You don't have to order them as individuals. Of course, I'll link that in the description box below because I just ordered one not that long ago. A set of like a lot of different ones, different tips all together. Yeah, it was probably 6 months ago by now, but so I'm sticking with the same color palette as I'm adding color. You know, the same. I started out with some colors with the brayering, and then I stuck with those colors plus white, the neutral, of course, when I was stenciling. And then as I'm doing the coloring on top and the different techniques, I'm still using the same colors: the purple, the yellowy orange, and the olivey green. Um, a couple different shades of it, but still the same colors. And even my um, washi tape is the same sorts of colors. It just adding some pattern. I had a lot of fun with this book. It was really fun. I'd like to make some more of these. I know someone in the comments is going to say, "Yes, you made that, but what are you going to do with it?" Well, actually, I can tell you what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to send it to someone. Um, in the vlog this month, I talked about that little link in the description box below that goes to my PayPal donations. Um, People took that to heart. People have donated to my channel, and I'm so very grateful. And I will, of course, do a thank you vlog at some point when I have some more Happy Mail to show and stuff like that. I will thank all those people who have donated to my channel because I am doing this for free. I'm offering basically free art lessons on my channel, and people are appreciating that. So this little booklet is going to go to one of those people who donated very generously, I must say, to my channel. So I'm just going to put it in an envelope and I'm going to send it to her along with a thank you note saying thank you for your help in supplying me with new art supplies that I can show on my channel. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So you guys might wonder how long this took. Because you know this is sped up. Some of this is sped up 4 times fast. Some of it is sped up 8 times fast. And near as I can tell, I think it took me about 3 hours to complete because an hour and a half of that was on the live stream channel with Peg, and she also made one. You guys should go take a look at hers. Hers is beautiful, very different from mine. You know, we both have a style, and hers is different than mine, but yet sometimes similar and overlapping. So it's always interesting to compare when we're making the same thing or we're using the same prompts from Pick a Stick Challenge or something, how different our projects turn out. It's interesting to me anyway. And so hour and a half ish on there, and some of that was talking and showing you how to fold and things like that, and then about an hour and a half over some different times during the day. I think it was about an hour and a half. So I think this project took about 3 hours, and it doesn't include cutting out magazine images. I did that in advance, but other than that, yeah, it wasn't that difficult. It was a pretty quick and fun project, and I will be making more. I don't know when or what they'll be about, but I'm going to make some more. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this sped up video with the finishing. And if you did, please leave me a comment below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, do that and turn on your notification bell so you know when my videos come out, which is about every other day. And of course, if you know someone who is thinking about spring and would like to think about flowers and all that, be sure to share this video with them. And that is it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.